Today I wanted to visit St. Cole. St. Cole is a graphic novel that was done by Noah Van Sciver, published by Fantagraphics Press in 2015. And I'm a huge Noah Van Sciver fan, and the main reason why, aside from the fact that I like his cartooning so much, is that I just find his work really funny. Adrian Tomina, Jeff Manley are the three cartoonists that can make me laugh, like really laugh when I'm reading, where I have to put the book down. And so that's what attracted me to Noah Van Sciver, and he's famous for, Tante Bukowski and other stories. But this book is serious, and Noah can do some long-form serious work. If you've read Blammo, you'll see that. But this is serious work, I mean, as far as serious tone, but it's also kind of dark. At first you don't realize it, and then it starts getting really dark. So I just kind of wanted to talk about it because I had the opportunity to reread it, and I don't really reread a lot of comics. Just to be honest, I'm on the wrong side of 50. So I know that I only have maybe 2-3 decades of being able to read comics. And I've spent a lot of time reading Big Two comics. And it's only been the last 3 years that I've really gotten into independent small press and manga. And I regret that because I could have spent the last 20 years. I mean, I started reading comics in the early 70s. But the last 20 years I could have spent reading all this great stuff. And so I've been on this death march on reading just like anything that's great. So I've been reading Tezuka, I've been reading Chris Ware, Adrian Tomina, Tatsumi. Just trying to, heard like, oh, this book is great. Like, David Mazzucchelli's works. It's like, oh, this work is great. Oh, I'm going to read it. So I have this long list of books to read one day. And as with comics, the more you read, the more you find out about other cartoonists. But I kind of want to spend all the time that I have, and we're all busy, reading new stuff. So I really don't revisit work. But my friends Richard Hind and Kevin Moorhead had both read this book in the past week. And so it got me to reread it, and I'm glad I did. So let's get into the book. So St. Cole is a book, our protagonist here, Joe. Joe is a guy in his early mid-20s. He's married, lives in a small apartment with a baby, trying to have a hard time making ends meet. And the first page you see here is where Joe is thinking within days he's destroyed everything. And then, why did this all happen to me? Then, it does a flashback, and it goes back in the last week. So you're seeing Joe, and Joe's a guy that works as a waiter in an Italian restaurant and bar. You're introduced to his wife and their young baby, and you see him working, and he's having a hard time making ends meet. You see him drinking here, and then coworker gives him a drive, and then later on, the next day he goes to work, and then all of a sudden you'll start seeing where he starts having he's attracted to this young hostess who just joined the restaurant, and she's the younger sister of one of the workers there. And you see where he's starting to drink more and more. Here's Shadows drinking. And Noah does this really cool, this effect here to show an altered state of I guess sobriety, for lack of a term. He's drunk, and how everything looks kind of not right. And then he's goes in and throws up. He's been drinking too much. And so you start seeing Joe as a person who is self-destructive and kind of going down this path where he's swirling around the drain. And then he comes home and he finds out that his mother-in-law has moved in because she's split from her boyfriend. And, you're the scene, you get some in the middle of the night. So you think, okay, this is a story about a guy who's spiraling down and he's throwing his life away, that kind of thing. And I'm not going to spoil the second half because this book takes a really dark, weird, crazy turn. Like you see, like before work, he's sitting here and he's just drinking. And there are people like this that, I've seen it, where you have people that will stop off at a gas station on the way to work and then just crack open a beer and drink it. They have an addiction and they need help. And so, he's sitting here flirting with this girl, and he's drinking more, and he's drinking the job. He's like hiding it in his Pepsi or whatever. And this is where I'm going to stop, because later on in this book, not too much after the part I stopped at, the book takes a hard right turn into wild and dark, like one of those movies like Wild at Heart, by David Lynch, where all of a sudden things starts getting dark really fast and really unexpectedly. But the thing that I liked about this book the most, or the things I liked about it most, is that the characters here are real. They're flawed, but they're just very human. I mean, everybody here that I've seen, I've met somebody like this, or I've worked with somebody like this in the real life. They're not trying to be authentic. They just are people that you encounter. Also, another thing that I like is that it kind of shows how people's, I guess, perceptions in some ways are flawed. Because, like, for instance, Joe's wife is a really sweet woman. She really loves Joe. She wants to make things work. But you can tell that she turns a blind eye to her mom. Her mom is, like, not the nicest person, and then you find out later she's really not the nicest person. But she's sort of blind to that, and that's real life, where sometimes you'll have somebody and their parent or their sibling has an addiction problem or a major personality disorder where they're violent, and then they'll just kind of like not acknowledge that it exists. And there's a lot of people here that you'll meet with these, you don't know what the backstory is on them. And it's like real life, like you'll meet people and they're like, okay, this encounter, and you're like, you don't know what the backstory is, and you can only speculate, but you don't really kind of need to know. And that's why I find so interesting, this book's so interesting. This book is $19.99. I've seen it for less. I've seen it on sale. I know I paid a little bit less than that for this book. It's a good book. If you're a fan of Noah's, you've never read anything really like more like dark or more serious in tone, you may want to pick this up. Again, I'm just going to tell you that you're reading a chapter and then you're like, oh, I did not see this happening. But I'm glad I reread this, because I liked it when I first read it, but I really like this book now. I really gained an appreciation for this book, and I can't show you the end because I'm not sure what'll pass on YouTube, and also I don't want to spoil anything. And one last thing, St. Cole, you'll find out what St. Cole means as a play on words. You'll find out what it means, but you won't really understand it until the last page. So I'm not going to mention it to you. I'm just going to tell you this is a really good book. If you like Noah Van Sciver's work, and you want something a little bit more, see if you can pull off that dark, serious story, you definitely can. It's a good book. It's about 120 pages. It's a quick read, but it's a good one. It's one of these books that once you start reading, it's hard to put down. Anyway, thanks.